Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Pope Francis says a rejection of illegal aliens is an act of war. Meanwhile, California Moonbeam Governor Jerry Brown bans the word alien from the state's labor laws. Meanwhile, another gruesome attack and murder of a military veteran at the hands of someone who should not have even been here, a convicted illegal alien.
It was hard for you to say alien.
Well, because I don't want to break the law, and I'm a good goose-stepping, law-abiding California citizen.
Good for you.
To me, there isn't a bigger issue than the border and immigration, because not just people coming here from Guatemala, Mexico, but anywhere in the world they're able to come across that border.
And anybody who can be out there to kill anybody else can come across the border.
And there's a lot of people that look very similar that come from different parts of the world and the country and come through that border. I have a real problem with the Pope. We talked about the Pope in one of our last segments. It seems to me that not only does he have a Marxist ideology, but it seems like he's been dragged into this position by the leftists that have been running the world for the last 6 or 7 years.
Well, it's a very sensitive issue, but I will say this. I have a little admiration for many people in the Catholic Church. I like their educational system. Some of the smartest people I've ever met in my life were trained as Jesuits, and they know things about, let's say, Judaism that 90% of Jews don't even understand. Judaism in this country today has become totally unreligious. It's just my comment, and I don't want to get myself in any deeper.
So the Pope says if we don't open up our doors and just now he was talking about Europe. He wasn't talking about the United States, but it applies here as well.
Well, of course.
You just let people in to the door. You think that the Vatican, you could just walk through the doors at the Vatican?
No, you have you got to get past the Swiss guards.
Yeah, why do they have them?
Because
same reason they have a fence around the White House and the Congress. My point is that is very hypocritical.
Well,
but the Pope is talking about all these migrants coming from Africa to Europe. But it's the same thing that's happening here. And Europe already learned that lesson, did they not?
I think the one thing I just don't understand is the fact that these poor Christians, the people that have been Christians all the way going back to Jesus 2,000 years ago, that they don't give the church. The Catholic Church is an organization. They could come out with a strong statement, but the people that are behind these murders of Christians, whether it's in Nigeria or whether it's in Turkey or whether it's in any part of the Middle East, you hear about it after the fact, but nobody seems to raise their voice or their hand to stop it.
California is becoming as socialist as you possibly could get. Now we're just opening up the doors, and we actually have 2 undocumented American citizens that are running for city council in San Francisco. At what point does society collapse when you have no discourse for the rule of law?
Well,
which is basically where we
society doesn't collapse. That opens it up to a dictatorship. What you have is you have anarchy only more in the uncivilized part of the world. But in the more civilized places, when you lose your basic strength as a civilized democratic nation, then you eventually have somebody come forth who takes over. Now, in Egypt, thank God for that, because they already had the Muslim Brotherhood, the Nazis of Egypt, were running that country.
The Islamo-Nazis.
That's a good word. But Assisi came like he was sent by Providence, and he was actually put in as a minor official in the basic cabinet of Morsi, who was the head of the Muslim group, the Muslim Brotherhood. And little by little, he inveigled himself, and next thing you know, he was made head of the military, and the first thing he did is he got rid of Morsi. And, oh, God, at that time, the president was just furious that this happened.
Democratically elected.
Yes, But
Mohammed
it's
Morsi.
amazing. Now, I guess he sent Kerry over there, and they are working for more support of Egypt so they can fight ISIS.
I don't even think we know who we're fighting.
No, I don't.
There's Al Qaeda, there's ISIS,
Well,
there's Boko Haram, and we don't have any idea what's going on.
We have the weakest military, I think, since before the Second War.
Now, we have a minute left. Donald Trump did make the illegal alien situation in America front page news when he brought that up. The administration, the Democrats, the left, vehemently denied that there's any possible link to illegal immigration and crime, which we know is not true. Now we just had a military veteran, 64-year-old woman, raped and beaten with a claw hammer by a convicted felon illegal alien. At what point do we have to change this political correct nonsense? That's what it is.
When you don't have the will to do it, and I think there's no movement in this country today when you have guys like McConnell and Boehner, who's head of the Congress, not saying beautiful things but never doing anything.
And what did they always tell us? Oh, you got to elect us a Republican Senate, and then we can do something. You got to give us the House, and then we can do something.
There's twice within
5 years
a reign of Obama. First, the Republicans gained control of the House.
Landslide.
Right, and then a landslide last year.
And it's as if the American people said nothing. I mean, we got nothing for this. As Mark Levin likes to say, they lied to the American people to gain power.
No, I think it's part of the American people, really, that we don't have. The only time there was any focus that came up out of nowhere was the Tea Party. That's when people went to Washington. There were thousands came on their own money.
And the regime
and it came and it went.
The media had a lot to do with squashing that. And Boehner and McConnell and the Republican leadership, too.
I don't think it was so much they weren't being supported by the basic organized Republican Party.